Let's talk about your final walkthrough before closing. Imagine this, it's the day before you close on your dream home. You're excited, a little nervous, and just ready to get those keys in your hand. But then you walk into the house for the final walkthrough and something feels off. Maybe there's a leak under the kitchen sink, or the movers left a huge scratch on the hardwood floor, or there's a hole in the wall that wasn't there before, or there's shingles missing off the roof. Suddenly, that smooth closing day feels a little more complicated. But I bet you're glad that you did schedule that final walkthrough, right? Hi, I'm Lydia Rowe, a realtor here in Tipp City, Ohio, and welcome to my channel where we talk about all things living in the Miami Valley and Dayton area. Whether you're buying, selling, or just curious about the real estate world, this is your go-to place for practical advice and straight answers. Today, we're diving into the final walkthrough, what it is, why it's so important, and what to do when something is off. And trust me, you're going to want to stick around because I'm sharing a little piece of gold, my final walkthrough checklist that can help you know what to look for and avoid any last-minute surprises. You'd be surprised how many real estate agents do not recommend this to their clients. I've heard horror stories of urine-soaked carpets and light fixtures ripped out of walls and ceilings. Now, this is rare. In fact, I've never had an issue come up at a final walkthrough that wasn't resolved before closing. But you don't want to risk it by not having one. So if your agent hasn't recommended this, let them know that you want it. Unless otherwise stated in your purchase contract, you have every right to a final walkthrough, so just do it. The final walkthrough is exactly what it sounds like. Your offer's been accepted, you've had inspection and negotiated anything that needs to be addressed, the house has been appraised, your financing is all in order, you have insurance, and now this is the final chance to walk through the property before closing. It's similar to a home inspection, but instead of looking for major defects, you're double checking that everything is as it should be. The sellers have moved out, the house is empty, hopefully, and this is your opportunity to ensure that the home is in the condition that you agreed to when you signed that purchase contract. Why is this important? Because once you close, those issues become your issues. If the seller's movers accidentally broke the banister, or that leaky faucet they promised to fix is still dripping, it's much easier to address it now than after the deal is done. You still have some legal recourse available if you find something that wasn't disclosed by the seller and is a pre-existing hidden defect after you close and move in, but the burden of proof is on you to prove that the sellers knew about it and hid it, and it's going to cost you a lot in legal fees, so catching it before closing is much better. Timing is everything. Ideally, you want to schedule the walkthrough within 24 hours of closing. Why? Because you want the house to be as close as possible to the condition it's going to be in when you officially take ownership. If the walkthrough happens too early, there's a chance the seller or their movers could accidentally cause damage after you've already approved everything. One client told me about a final walkthrough they went on when the owner had punched a hole through the wall out of anger, and another told me about owners who left their pets inside unattended, who wreaked havoc on the house. Now, these are extreme and very rare stories, but ideally, you want to get that walkthrough in after the owners have already completely moved out and the house is in the condition that it's going to be when you get those keys. Okay, here's where we get into the nitty-gritty. During the final walkthrough, there are 4 main things that you're checking. Number 1, repairs. If you negotiated repairs as part of your deal, verify that they've been completed and done properly. Bring receipts or proof of the work from the seller if they've provided them. If you are particularly concerned, or if the owner did the repairs themselves, you might choose to have a second inspection after the work is complete to ensure the work was completed to your satisfaction. You don't have to wait for the final walkthrough for that, or you can have the owners provide a guarantee statement from a qualified professional who's willing to address the issue or the situation if it isn't properly fixed for a period of time. Number 2, functionality. Test all major systems and appliances. Turn on faucets, flush toilets, test light switches, run the HVAC system, and don't forget the garage door opener. Yes, you might feel like you're on a game show pushing every button, but it's better than discovering a broken AC unit on move-in day. Now, one thing to note is that if you opted out of inspection, you are buying the house as is. So on the walkthrough, you might notice things that don't work that you missed, but if it's in the same condition as it was when you agreed to purchase the house, you don't have a lot of recourse there. You can still try, but walking away from a deal after waiving inspection due to a final walkthrough issue could be cause for legal action on the seller's part if it's in the same condition it was when you purchased or when you agreed to purchase. Something else to note is that if you had an inspection and they noted the light switch doesn't work or there's a leak under the sink and you didn't ask the seller to address those items, the final walkthrough is not the time to address it. Which leads me to number 3, Condition. Look for any new damage that wasn't there during the home inspection. Are there scratches, dents, holes left behind by the seller? Check the floors, the walls, and even the ceilings, especially if the home has been empty for a while. Don't forget to look behind doors and in the closets, but make sure that you do this during your first walkthrough or during the inspection period as well, so that you have something to compare it to. In fact, in a minute, I'm going to tell you how to get my free final walkthrough checklist, and I'd recommend getting that and using it during the initial inspection period and making any notes then so that you have something to compare it to on the final walkthrough. Number 4, personal property. You want to confirm that everything that's supposed to stay with the house, like appliances or fixtures, is still there, and anything that's supposed to go is gone. If you didn't ask for that piano or huge wardrobe or pool table, it's not your responsibility to move it. If the owners ran out of time and didn't get all the Christmas decor out of the attic, again, that's not on you to do. Now, it's normal for owners to leave paint cans and some maintenance items that will be useful to you, but if you notice a lot of out-of-date paint cans or really anything that you didn't ask for and don't want to deal with, you'll have to look at the contract that you signed, but usually it states that the sellers are responsible for removing all personal property and trash. So you went on your final walkthrough and you found some problems. What do you do now? The good news is most issues can be resolved quickly, but you need to act fast. Missing repairs. If the seller didn't fix what they promised, you can delay closing until they do. Or you might negotiate a credit at closing to handle it yourself. New damage. You want to document it with photos and notify your agent immediately. If it's serious, like a big hole in the wall, you might ask for funds in escrow until it's fixed. Left behind items. You can request that the seller come back and remove their items. And no, it's not your responsibility to dispose of Aunt Karen's vintage wardrobe. If they can't or are unwilling, you can ask for money toward a contractor who could come move the stuff for you. Now, bottom line on these things is going to come down to how much you want the house still and how bad you want to close quickly. If your offer price was low and you asked for the sellers to address a lot of items already on the inspection, they may already feel disgruntled and want an excuse out of the deal. If you think that they might back out if you bring up some of these smaller items that might feel nitpicky, then it's up to you whether to pursue resolution or just take on the issues as part of your new home. Every home is going to have some issues, and part of homeownership is budgeting for those expenses and keeping up with maintenance. You just want to mitigate anything before closing if possible, or be ready to take it on yourself. Want to make your walkthrough a breeze? Here are my top 4 tips. Number 1, bring your purchase contract. This is your cheat sheet for what should and shouldn't be in the house. Number 2, use a checklist. I'll link my free walkthrough checklist in the description below. Print it out and bring it with you so you don't forget anything. And as I said before, bring it with you during the initial inspection so that you have something to compare it to. Number 3, don't go alone. Have your agent with you to act as your advocate. Plus, they're great at spotting things that you might miss. Most sellers won't allow you in their home without an agent before closing anyways because it's a safety risk. Number 4, document everything. Take photos or videos of any issues so that there's a clear record. And here's a bonus tip, bring a flashlight. Even if it's daytime, empty houses can be dark and you don't want to miss anything hiding in the shadows. At the end of the day, the final walkthrough is your last line of defense before closing. It's not about being picky or difficult. It's about protecting your investment and starting your new chapter on the right foot. Home inspection is another really important step that you want to understand. So if you aren't sure what that's about, check out this video next. If you're in the Miami Valley area and you're gearing up for your own final walkthrough, or just have questions about the buying process in general, feel free to reach out. I'd love to help you navigate this journey. Don't forget to grab my free final walkthrough checklist in the description below. And if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share it with anyone that you know who's buying a home. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.